Good morning. It is the 12th of June, 2024, and we have a business to attend to this morning, and that is we want to look at right before us today. We have another war game book to look at. Yes, that's right, people. Um, and I'm very excited about this one, more so than um, other things I've done, but love looking at this one. This is Volume 1, Bite the Bullet, You Are Legend. And it's right down here, a game book by Frédéric Moyersoen, right? And it's the imprint is his own, which I do believe, which is AA Games. I believe it stands for All Alone. I'll tell you up front that I have not played the game. I've read it, and I can give you some idea of how it's played, but I have not played the game myself, so anything I say is theoretical in my mind, and also is just the impression I get from it, right? I'm a big believer in having to play the game to really review it correctly. So, and I believe that with RPGs as well. I've run into other creators that think the same as I do, so that's where I'm at with it. You might get a feel for it from some of the things I say, but you're not going to, I can't give you a full review about it. With that being said, I'm not going to bury the lead to it. It appears to be a really good game, and it's something that I need to get to the table soon. But as everything goes, what soon is for one is not for the other, right? So, but the game, I'm so happy it's a game book. So happy it was done as a game book. This is another iteration of the war game book, right? That I have talked about for years since my channel started. I talked about war games never did do as fantasy games done, as RPGs done, and use the medium to its full effectiveness. And sure enough, during the pandemic, it started and it's rolled on. And I think now we're starting to see some pretty cool things come out of this. Let's read the blurb, and we're going to look at it a little bit. The small town Silver Spurs used to be calm and peaceful. Everything took a turn when an outlaw gang was sighted nearby. Right into the action with this immersive Western shootout game. Do you have the guts? You are a legend. Well, I guess if I'm a legend, I better have the guts. This game book contains all you will need to play a compelling game. Fast-paced gameplay, highly tactical game decisions, 3 challenging game modes, solo, co-op, and cooperative. Competitive, I'm sorry. Solo, co-op, and competitive. I'm getting ahead of my mind's getting ahead of my tongue. 8 thrilling scenarios and 2 captivating campaigns. 1 to 4 players, 30 minutes, and ages 12 plus. Very well. Already, from as soon as I see this and it says, gives you all that, and it says highly tactical game decisions. That's something that we haven't seen a lot of within the war game community is Western games. We've seen a lot of it as far as a tabletop board games. We haven't seen a lot of it in war games. We've seen some very good rule sets and miniature games, and the classic Avalon Hill Classic that I don't think I've covered on this channel that I probably need to is Gunslinger. We can look at that, and this kind of reminds you a little bit of Gunslinger when you get into it, which is a good thing. So, the preface, he's talking about, Frédéric's talking about how he got into it, where this game came from, the history of this game, and I like this part here, designing a game for a book came with a number of limitations. It certainly does. But I embraced this challenge as an integral part of the design process. In my previous concepts, I relied heavily on cards rather than dice to drive the game mechanics. However, due to the nature of the game book, I had to adapt and switch to using dice instead. That I think is the cool thing about the game book. And here we got talking about Frédéric Moyersoen, and who has a lot of games out. None's on the Run is a big one there. So yeah, we've got I think he's listed as 71 in BGG, but I don't know if they're all original designs. They might be reprints or, I think he said he's got 45 published designs, and he's designed, 250 games in his life, which is pretty good. And he talks about how to use this book, what you're going to do in this book. Unlike a traditional book game, but we've seen it again, you have maps. You're going to take the maps out, cut the maps out, and then you have counters here, and you can use and you're also going to cut out the character sheet. It's going to be character sheets, whether it's for you or a solo character sheet for your NPC when you're playing solo mode, which is great to have a solo mode in a game book, obviously. Because if I buy something that says a game book, if it doesn't have solo mode, I'm going to be somewhat upset, just because, a game book traditionally you think of just having being solitaire. So yeah, it's neat to have the solo mode, as well as competitive or co-op. All's well there. You're going to cut it out, and you got counters in here. It's going to tell you how to cut your counters, or you can use miniatures or a pawn. A lot of people sometimes balk at that, at having to essentially do a craft project, which is a minimal craft project, to play a game. I don't really balk at it, because I know a lot of people, it's no different than counter clipping. You spend your time counter clipping, you can cut out a game and play it. That's my opinion on it, but of course, everything I say is going to be my opinion. The rules, let's look over the rules a bit. First of all, solo or multiplayer, and character sheets. It goes over to the character sheets, which I think is, even Gunslinger had cards, right? Character cards that I think you're supposed to wipe off, or maybe put counters on. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've played that game. Not because I didn't like it, just because I think there's a lot I have to put into it to play a game of it. I'd have to relearn a lot of it to play a game of it, and I don't know if it's relearning it is worth it. It is. I guess it is. We'll look at it later. I shouldn't say that. Worth it. If it's fun, it's worth it, right? So you got your equipment. You got traditional guns. Your 6-shooter revolver, as it's called here. Your Winchester carbine, model 1873. Your shotgun. I'm assuming that's a long shotgun rifle, which shotgun isn't traditionally rifled, so I'm assuming it means a long gun. And then a sawed-off shotgun, and then a knife for close combat. You will have some. You can't have some close combat here. Dynamite, whiskey, that takes away one wound, I think, which is kind of cool. Money bag, and then the horse, your horse. Managing your equipment, you're talking about. You got your terrain effects, which comes into play, absolutely. Barrels, bushes, cart, fence, tree, wall, door. Just what would be in a town, western town. Right. I always wanted a trip mechanic in some of these games. You could trip over a root or whatever, Concealed counters, game sequence. You're going to move and concealed counters, activation of counters, right? Detection you're going into, right? Actions of a player character, move, climb through window, aim, shoot, reload, repair a jammed weapon. You have to have jamming or some kind of misfiring in a Western game. Pick up or switch an item, drink whiskey, throw dynamite, close combat, and ambush. Okay, actions of NPC opponent. I've read a lot of this. It's kind of cool. Panic and do nothing. Moving closer to target. Run closer to target. So, yeah. So, shooting, throwing dynamite, close combat. Again, highly injuries, highly tactical, which I love in a Western game. And the artwork, what there is of it, is done by, the artwork is also done by Frédéric Moyersoen. So, Frédéric, nice job on the artwork. I think that's probably pretty good. I like the artwork. It's got the rustic appearance. I like the cover, the rustic appearance there, what you're looking at, that rustic appearance. I'm fine with that, especially in a Western game. Love it. Love the darks. Like the maps. The maps are done in squares instead of hexes, but for reasons, right? I think that Gunslinger did squares instead of hexes as well, right? As long as there's not diagonal movement, you're good. But with doing squares, I guess you could have diagonal movement too. It just wouldn't be, wouldn't be fair like a hex would be, right? So, but so the game does look good. Looks very good, as a matter of fact. Looks so good, I'm probably going to play it. Not going to be next game. Might be the third in the queue I'll play. But it looks great. I'm very happy I got this game. Thank you so much, Frédéric Moyersoen. He's Belgian. He's Belgian. That never ceases to amaze me how people around the world like this time of the West, right? The Old West, if you will. The Western movement really starts, if you want to talk about Western movement, you want to probably start in 1769 with Daniel Boone all the way to the end of the Alaskan Gold Rush. That's where I would put, early 1900s there. That's where I would put the end of the Western movement and all the historically. But of course, we also realize that when we talk about Old West, we're really talking about this type, cowboys and cowpokes and so on. We really mean from about 1849, the California Gold Rush, till the end of the Alaskan Gold Rush. That's really what and if we really want to get down to it, we probably more mean post-1865, post-war between the states until the end of the Alaskan Gold Rush. That's probably what we mean more than anything when we think of the Old West. So, for such a short period of time, and many vital figures outlived their time period, outlived the Old West. Wyatt Earp did, making movies out in California, or consulting on movies in California. Bat Masterson dies as a sports writer in New York, So a lot of people did outlive their Old West days, the ones that either the good, the good or the careful, right? Certainly the quick and the dead did not outlive that. The Doc Holliday's and the what's some more of my favorites. I got a ton of favorites. We can talk about that too at another time. But it never ceases to amaze me because it's such a short period, but it's a period that is very important to American pop culture, right? Some of those Italian spaghetti westerns are really good. The early ones with Clint Eastwood, right? And to me, the best movies about the West were people that lived it, had a connection to it. John Ford movies, Sam Peckinpah movies with especially The Wild Bunch. Really good movies about the West. They knew the West like nobody's business. But it just amazes me that so many people around the world think about that time period in the North American cowboys. And I do mean North America, right? You had cowboys in Mexico and cowboys in the United States western portions, and in Canada's western portions, they have a cowboy culture. So, it's North America. We even take a lot of them Spanish words. Buckaroo almost definitely came from vaquero, which means cowboy in Vaquero means cowboy in Spanish. Certainly, Americans mispronounced that and became buckaroo, right? So that it is what it is. But I digress with the history bit. But it's a good. I think it appears to be a pretty good game. There's also a companion. I think it's a expansion piece that you have some more. You have some more scenarios. I really wish someone would do a game, a new game, Western game with some modern historical scenarios. The Earps and the Clantons, McLowrys at the OK Corral, or you had the James Gang last attempted bank robbery up here in Minnesota, or the Lincoln County War in New Mexico. I wish we would see some stuff like that in historical pieces. But whether we see that or not, this is cool. This is cool, and $24.99 on Amazon. For me, it's a buy every time I see something that neat. All right, y'all. And I think, what does this bring to the table? I think all the new book war games we've seen bring something else to the table. What this brings to the table really is the professionalism that only someone like Frédéric Moyersoen can bring. Someone who it's well play tested, well edited. It's a passion project of his, so everything's going to look decent. The professionalism he brings is outstanding. So I think besides it being set in the West, which is a big one, the setting, but the professionalism of someone with that big of a name, I think is important. If the book game genre is going to continue any further length of time, and this is a neat addition to it. So get yours today. All right, folks, y'all have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. I'll be back as soon as I can with another video. Bye-bye, y'all.